Welcome to the Double Dribble podcast with Dubin and Dakhil. You know who we are, author of Last Night in Basketball. I'm former video coordinator, still very angry about Egypt. Going to leave that right there. It might come up a few more times. I'm just going to warn everybody now, Jared. I told you at the beginning, I'm in a pretty angry mood, and this has nothing beyond just the Egypt stuff and the World Cup, but like just life in general. So this is going to be an interesting podcast, right? There's going to be some fireworks. This is going to be some stuff where I'm just going to be a little bit. I'm going to try to control myself, but there might be some fireworks.
Jared, well, we may or may not be talking about a subject that you promised not to talk about. For on the very last podcast, you promised that we're not going to talk about it for a while, and we're going to talk about it today because we are going to talk about LeBron for a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about Kyle Lowry. We're going to talk about Donovan Mitchell's new contract in the Cavs. We're going to talk about LeBron James. We're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets, and we're going to talk a little bit about Summer League.
Yes, and a little bit about Summer League, but we'll tie everything all together in a nice bow. I am angry about that as well, Jared. We're just adding on my grievances list is very long and distinguished today. Let's just start right away. Kyle Lowry has announced his retirement, signed with the Raptor a one-day contract. Yeah, it deserves a round of applause. Jared, if you're not watching on YouTube, you should. We're going to give him the clap. We're doing the golf clap so it doesn't drive you guys nuts on the microphone. I love that he signed the one-day contract with the Raptors. He should retire as a Raptor. Greatest Raptor of all time for you, Jared?
I don't think there's even a question. I mean, you might have had an argument with him or DeMar DeRozan or Vince Carter, but they won the title. Like, he is the greatest Raptor of all time. I don't think it's that close, and great to see him go up into the sunset. Or is it the sunset if you're going all the way up north? I mean, it's still the sunset, right?
But it's sunset, but it's snow, I guess.
I don't sort of cold weather analogy for the sunset. Right off into the snow set with the Raptors.
Yeah, I actually love that. And it's funny because, like, before his stop in Toronto, it seemed like he was going to be a journeyman.
Yeah.
Right. Like, in Houston for a little bit and in Memphis, lands in Toronto, stays for a long time like that for the bulk of his career, obviously has left since then. But like, I think ultimately, and he's the leader of that championship team. Like, Kawhi was the best player, but he was the heart and soul of that team. Now, there's stuff I hated all the drawn charges. I called him a traffic cone a few times, and things like that. But I think it's, important to kind of just recognize, like, he had a really nice career, and it's great to see it kind of end where it should end, in that the one-day contract and whatnot, and he's going to go down as the best Raptor ever at this point. And I think I think you're right. It's unanimous across the board with everybody else.
One of the great trades of all time, by the way, getting Kyle Lowry to Toronto. It was, I believe, let me look this up. Yeah, it was for Gary Forbes and a first-round pick, which later turned into Steven Adams, who was traded to Oklahoma City in the James Harden trade, obviously.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
So all the Raptors got Kyle Lowry, and the Rockets later got James Harden using the pick from the Kyle Lowry trade.
That's pretty amazing. But I just think ultimately, like, just good stuff. Happy for him. Happy for the Raptors. Happy for Toronto, like the organization and the city in that regard.
Did you see, by the way, that he had an amazing line during his retirement press conference when he mentioned that Kawhi was there?
No.
He was like, I'm glad to see Kawhi here. And it's like, I know they have aspirations to win the title or something along those lines.
Oh, wow. I love that. Okay. Taking shots while we're on our way out, but I love it. Good for them. Good on them. But let's also get to actual basketball stuff, because, pretty big contract extension signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You want to go into
4 years, $273 million for Donovan Mitchell. That is the full 35% supermax.
My God, damn. That's like what is that? Like 70 a year?
It's just south of $70 million a year. Yeah. But in the final year, he's going to be making $75.5 million on a player option at age 34.
It escalates. Like that's the scary part of that contract. Like,
yeah, I mean, I wrote about this morning, which you can check out at Last Night in Basketball. The big thing for me is that not necessarily the second apron, but we talked about this briefly last time. Right now, contract growth per year is outpacing salary cap growth.
mm-hmm.
So Donovan Mitchell is going to be making 35% of the salary cap in the first season of this deal. When the CBA was signed, we expected the salary cap to grow at a rate of 10% per year. So by the fourth year of the deal, he would be making like 31% of the salary cap or something along those lines. But because the salary cap is not going up as fast as we expected, he's now going to be making 37.5% in the final year of the deal. The share of the cap that he's making is going to go up over the life of this contract because the 8% annual raises are going up at a faster rate than the salary cap is growing up. And that is a massive problem for teams. And it's driving a lot of this decision-making that we're seeing in the league right now. And it could wind up driving the Cavs' decision-making a few years down the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the real question for them. Like, that was my next question to you was, does he end up finishing this contract as a Cav? Because, like, this is one of those things you're going to look at it, and you've outlined it perfectly. We know Nate and Danny have done it on the Dunked On podcast as well. You know, like, this is such a massive problem for them that, like, one, you have to win a championship now in the next couple of years, like with the roster you have. And I'll applaud them for saying, hey, man, we're going to spend the money. Like, we're just going to have to dive into it. We're going to be in this. Like, this is the team we think can compete and win a championship. Whether you believe that or not is a different story. But, like, this is what they believe, and they're going for it. And, like, that's one of those things where it's like, to me, I don't know if I could have given, like, you have to give him the extension. This is kind of the problem. Like, it's either you have to give him the extension.
You're locked into it. Like, when you get like Donovan Mitchell is somewhere between probably like the 10th and 20th best player in the league, right? Like, he's somewhere in that range. Like, in the latest, just to use one example, in the Ringer 100 that they have, he was 11th in the latest rankings. I think you could make an argument that he's there. You can make an argument he's a little higher, a little lower, whatever it is. When you get one of those players, it is really, really hard to get a player that good. When you have him, you don't want to let him go because you never know when you're going to get a player that good ever again. You know, so when he's up for an extension and he wants an extension, for the most part, NBA teams just say, here, take the extension. Because if you don't, then he's going to ask out and go to somewhere where they will give him that extension.
That's what I was going to say. Then he has to get traded, right? It's either you have to give him the extension or you have to trade him. And I think it becomes and it's, to be honest, I understand both decisions if a team made that. Like, if I'm Cleveland and I made it, but you're looking at going, we just made the conference finals. Yeah, we got swept. It took 2 7-game series to get there, but we just made the conference finals. Like, we should try to make this happen and go for it. But, like, I do understand also if a team goes like, man, paying him $75 million when he's 34 really might kill us, and we don't even know what's going to happen with the cap and everything going forward. Like, this is going to be a very interesting, not just the Cavs, but for everybody, kind of monitoring how this goes. We saw, look, man, like, Boston, part of the reason why they traded Jaylen Brown, didn't want to have to sign him to an extension, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and because already his 35% max was worth more of the cap than we expected it to be.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of becoming an interesting sort of wrinkle that most people aren't seeing. Like, I'll be honest, I wasn't up on that until you brought it up and what the Dunked On boys had said. So I think that's kind of an interesting sort of thing to monitor as we go through. But hey, man, they went with it. They're locking themselves into this team. You know, I know at some point they could probably spin off
him and Evan Mobley. Like, they're not locked into Jared Allen. They're not going to be locked into James Harden for that long. Like, Jared Allen's only a couple more years. James Harden's probably going to sign for 2 or 3 years. But to Mitchell and Mobley, they're locked in for like at least 4 years.
Yeah, and I think
those guys are going to be making like 70% of the cap or something like that in a few years' time. Like, that is a lot of money to commit to 2 guys, especially when, like, if the cap was going up 10%, it would have been like 60% of the cap. And that's a massive difference.
Yeah. And I think, for me, it's like, wow, like truly amazing that like this is who we're locked into. We've made this decision. Let's see what we have with these guys. Now, granted, you could spin Jared Allen off for something and get some pieces back. It's like you're not asset poor to a degree. I don't think you could spin James Harden into anything anymore. I think this will be this last trade for Garland might be the last time you can get something of true value for him. Just age and contract and stuff's going to all kind of jump in. I think for me, when I look at it though with Cleveland, look, they lost Dean Wade. We know they're one of the top 3 teams apparently in the running for LeBron James. So losing Dean Wade, but getting LeBron, maybe not necessarily a bad trade-off if they end with it. I'm curious though to see just like your viewpoint. Let's say they don't get LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your viewpoint of this team? I mean, we know the offseason's not done. They haven't done anything. They're in the waiting period because they're in the LeBron sweepstakes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably like a second-tier Eastern Conference team, which is kind of what they were last year. Like, when you look at this past season, really everybody was in the second tier other than the Knicks, it seems like, So that's kind of where they were last year, and I feel like that's where they would be this coming year. I don't know if they would be at the top of that tier. It would obviously depend on matchups and things like that. Like, I think the Raptors are probably ahead of them now, at least in terms of playoff equity. If Kawhi makes it to the end of the season healthy, I think I might like the Sixers about as much or more. Granted, it's hard to feel great about their playoff equity given Joel Embiid's potential and probable health issues. Like, I probably like Boston about as much as Cleveland, right? Like, who else is in that mix? Miami, probably not quite in that mix, depending on what else happens with that roster. Atlanta, congratulations to our guy Tim Bontemps, by the way.
Yeah.
For landing with the Hawks. Atlanta is in that mix. Orlando, Charlotte, like who knows who else is going to be in that mix in the second tier of the Eastern Conference. But I think that's probably where the Cavs are, depending on what happens, obviously, over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think I kind of think that's where we're at. Like, it changes obviously if they get LeBron, right? They immediately jump up, I think, a couple levels of teams that they're better than. But without LeBron, I think, they're kind of just the middle of the rung in the Eastern Conference. Did you mention Indiana in that?
I forgot Indiana, which I did the last time that when I wrote about the Giannis trade. I mentioned like all these different teams that like Miami might not be better than. And I forgot Indiana because I was looking at the standings like, oh, are they better than this playoff team or this playoff team or this playoff team? And I totally forgot about Indiana, which should absolutely be in that mix also. The issue with Indiana is obviously we don't know what Tyrese Halliburton's going to look like coming back from the Achilles injury.
Yeah. And so we'll see what that looks like. But if he comes back and is Tyrese, like that's another team that I think I would have above the Cavs as is right now. Obviously, again, the caveat is LeBron, which, folks, I really tried. I tried with all my force and all my might so that we wouldn't have to talk about it. I even sent Jared a rundown. Didn't even have his name in the rundown. But then literally about an hour before we started recording, I saw the Yahoo Sports post that says there are 3 front runners for LeBron James. One thing I found according to Shams, and what I found interesting was no West Coast teams. It is Cleveland, as we just mentioned, Miami, and the 76ers. No Golden State.
Yeah, and you've been talking about that one like it's been a done deal.
I still don't believe it until he signs the contract. Right? Like, I still don't buy it.
Apparently, Bob Myers was on Rich Paul's podcast pitching that the Sixers are his best chance to win, which I think in the regular season that might be true. But the idea that Embiid's going to make it through a playoff run just makes me think it can't possibly be true in the playoffs.
Well, I'll tell you what's the other thing for me is like, so is he just going to be the distributor on the Sixers? Like his role with the Sixers would be kind of funny to me.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, obviously, Maxi's going to have the ball a lot. Embiid, when he plays, is going to have the ball a lot. Jaylen Brown is going to like have the ball and want the ball a lot. Like, this is a guy who part of the reason that he gets traded is because he wanted to have his own team, and now he's going to a team with a guy who is another borderline top 10 player in Tyrese Maxey, and a guy who was a top 5 player and is still like a really impactful player when he's healthy. And now, like, is Jaylen Brown going to be the third option at times when he's on the court? And then all of a sudden you're throwing LeBron into that mix too. And he's a guy who wasn't necessarily thrilled about being the third option on his own team last year.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be that would be a confusing fit for me. Like I could see it in Cleveland and it working better, although Harden would probably have to dribble less. But we kind of saw that from him when he was in Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie for those 20 games, right?
Yeah.
Like we saw that a little bit. So there's almost even I mean, it's tiny amount, but there's a little bit of a sample of like, okay, well, maybe possible. I think it's interesting there. Like Miami's interesting, obviously, because Giannis and Bam defensively they're covered, and then he could just be the monster on offense and be like, yeah, Giannis is going to want the ball in his hands a ton, which I get, but like, goddamn, a LeBron
and he's
Bam
not going to set
roll?
screens for LeBron.
No, that's why I didn't say him. I said a LeBron Bam pick and roll would be pretty damn good too. With Giannis kind of patrolling along the dunker spot or working the baseline, like damn, like that could be a pretty dangerous ass game
and
right there.
We know LeBron will set the occasional screen, so Giannis LeBron backward pick and rolls would be available to them.
Yeah, so it's like I'm kind of those three. I think the Sixers are third to me. I think I would
from a basketball fit perspective, you mean?
Basketball fit. I think I'd probably go Cleveland and to win a championship. I think you have a better chance to go win a championship in Cleveland than you do in Miami, just because there's still a lot of holes in Miami that they need to fill, right? Like I know there's Tim Hardaway Jr. and stuff. The shooting is still a question. The perimeter defense is still, I know they got guys, but like, and so on, but like, I still would be like, I'm a little bit concerned with just the perimeter overall offensively and even defensively to a degree.
Yeah, a Davion Mitchell, Andrew Wiggins, LeBron, Giannis, Bam lineup probably does not have the best spacing in the history of the world. But I will say Davion Mitchell is a very LeBron team style point guard where he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands all the time and can be like the pest defensive. Like it's a very LeBron era Heat point guard.
Yeah. It fits. Like it fits basketball wise, but I think then when you look at like, okay, let's go win a championship, I'm not sure they have enough.
No, I wouldn't think that they do.
So that would be my order would be Cleveland, Miami, Philly of the three. I still think they're just fucking with everybody and all of these sources and things like that. And it's going to be Golden State. Although Shams isn't he repped by Clutch also?
I do not know who reps Shams these days.
I shall be Googling because that would be something fucked up to do to your guy.
Yeah. It's not like, I mean, Shams always has the best information at this point. So whatever he's saying, I trust that it's the best information that you can get right now, but that doesn't mean it's going to turn out to be correct because the only people that really know are LeBron and probably Rich. And if if anyone is not getting their information directly from one of those two guys, then it's probably not coming from the right place.
Yeah, I was wrong. It looks like it's not Clutch. It's somebody else. So I'll leave that part of it alone. I'm just saying, I still, until it's signed, I don't believe them. I still think it's Golden State. And if it's not Golden State, I wonder what Draymond's thinking.
Yeah. I mean, he could still re-sign for close to the same amount that he was going to make.
Yeah, I guess. But like, why go through all these hoops? Anything else on the Cavs, LeBron? Anything else before we take a break?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Cleveland. Like, if they're not a tier one title contender this season, what's the path to them getting there, whether LeBron signs or not, over the next few years that they have Mitchell and Mobley locked in?
Yeah, those two guys are the centerpieces. They're not. I don't think they're moving off of either of those guys. I think then then you have to spin Jared Allen off for whatever assets in which you fell short. Because then if it doesn't work, then you're looking at it going like, all right, maybe the Mobley Allen pairing isn't working for us at this point. And we have to start.
That's then totally changing the construction of your team, though, so that Evan Mobley is the center. And
But
do we
Jared,
know if he can be the center?
But at that point, like, let me just put if you're not in the top tier after this season, you get knocked out in the second round this year, then you have to kind of change the construction of your team and your thought process here. And that, I mean, obviously, I think what would end up happening is Kenny Atkinson would get fired, and then they would go from there. But I think you have to start looking at at a certain point, you have to change the construction of the team. Like,
yeah.
It was, again, got to the conference finals, but it was like the way the Portland Blazers got to the conference finals those years ago and lost to the Warriors, right? And basically, besides game one, they got smoked in the conference finals. And I think that's one of those things. You have to look at the construction of your team at that point. If you finish next season 6th, 5th, and it's very possible, like, you have to start looking at it and being like, all right, we need to make a big change here somehow.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with Jared Allen, because Harden's not going to move anything, not going to bring you anything.
Right. Well, I will say, analytically, that series is still tied 2-2. I'm waiting for game 5.
Yeah, we can just leave it there for that one there. We're going to take a quick break and talk Denver Nuggets on the other end. And we are back, folks. It was a long break. We're talking about the Denver Nuggets. We're talking about them mainly because they were in the news a little bit. First off, Mark Stein and Jake Fisher, I believe, were the first to report it. You correct me if I'm wrong, Jared. That Nikola Jokic will not sign an extension this summer.
I don't know if they reported it. I think Jokic just said it publicly.
Yeah, I think, but
post-game presser with Serbia, that he said he's going to sign next offseason so that he can sign a 5-year deal.
Yeah, he's going to, and basically maximize his money, which good for him. That's the way, he's doing it. Of course, it does lead to people going like, oh, but he did say he's a Nugget for life. And I actually believe him, only because experiencing a move myself right now, I wouldn't want to deal with it either if I was Jokic. Obviously he can have like professionals do a lot more stuff. But I think, just having to do all that, he strikes me as the person that doesn't want to do it and enjoys Denver. But then that does lead to this kind of question. And we're talking construction of the Cavs. Like, what do you do if you're Denver? They haven't really made any moves. I think everybody's expecting them to waive Jonas Valanciunas today.
Yeah,
because it's a contract. His contract guarantee date was today. I think is the expectation. They still have Peyton Watson as a restricted free agent. They've signaled to everybody we're matching any offer that is sent our way for him, as well they should. I think he's their best perimeter defender.
Yeah.
It in that sense, to me that makes sense, and I think it's a different series if they're healthy. Against Minnesota. Granted, though, Minnesota wasn't. Still kind of embarrassing they went out the way they did. Aaron Gordon, we don't know, again, that like what his hamstrings look like. I don't know if it's just shredded cheese at this point or what, but like I'm a little bit concerned there. Murray's coming off his best regular season. He wasn't very good in the playoffs. And then you have Jokic, who started out unbelievable. His shot completely disappeared when he came back from his injury. His 3-point shot was just gone. Looks
he
great.
Didn't just have the knee injury. He was dealing with a wrist injury over the second half of the season too.
He looks great now, though. Like if you see him in it, like, it looks like he dropped a little weight. I need to get with his dietitian.
I feel like whenever he's playing for, maybe there's something about the Serbia jerseys that makes him look slimmer.
And the Nuggets need to figure out what that is and make that happen. A little bit of free agency news. Let's see what this is. Larry Nance, 1 year, $4 million deal with the Indiana Pacers.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice backup, big man.
Yeah, nice. No notes. Good stuff.
I feel like he fits with them too because he can pass a little bit and make reads on the
fly. They want to run. They want to play fast. I think that's kind of a nice little addition for them. But back to the Nuggets, it's kind of the question is like, are they going to move off Cam Johnson, or are they going to be able to find somebody to take Christian Brown, who had a rough season, good defensively for the most part, but had a rough shooting season? Or are you betting on? He's pretty good, not great, but like it's matchup dependent to hit for him to a large degree.
I will say they needed him to be a lot better than he was. They need him to be like a perimeter stopper, and I don't think he's that.
No. But especially with Watson out. With Watson on the floor, I think you can get away with him being a little bit just okay. But I think ultimately, like they're the team I'm kind of watching. Like, what are you guys going to do? Are you running it back? I've said many times, I think Cam Johnson's going to have a much better year in his second season with them. It kind of reminded me of Richard Jefferson getting traded there when Richard Jefferson got traded to the Spurs, and first season was pretty rough. And then the second season, he kind of really, to Richard's credit, he changed his game a ton. And then we had a great season and then fell apart in the playoffs. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. But I think I'm very curious to see, like, what are they going to do? Are they just going to run it back? Like, should they start looking to make like a big change? Because after they lost, it felt like Jokic was like, we need major changes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see what the major change can necessarily be at this point unless they're trading Jamal Murray or Aaron Gordon. And that just doesn't feel like something that is in the offing given how much has happened elsewhere in the league. Like if someone was going to make that much of a seismic change, it feels like it probably would have happened already. But I don't see any way that all of Murray, Brown, Gordon, Johnson, and Watson are on the team at the end of the season. They will have like $175 million luxury tax bill if they keep all of those guys. There's just no way that's going to happen. The Cronkies are not paying that. I know that they own the Nuggets, they own Arsenal or some
Arsenal, I think,
and they own the Rams. Like they have the money, but they're just not going to do that. Like we know that they're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's really the crux of the issue. Like I agree with you. Like somebody's going to be off. I just think it's hard. Like Christian Brown, not very tradable right now.
No.
Right? Like the Cam Johnson probably have to add asset to it. And I don't know if they even have much left at this point in terms of what they have. They need to find a backup big if they lose Jonas Valanciunas, right? And it'd be nice if they find one that actually works. Again, we thought it would with Valanciunas. Didn't turn out the way we thought like it would have been. But they need to figure out what they're going to do there because I don't want to, especially in the regular season, tax Aaron Gordon with that. Aaron Gordon has to be on like for the first 4 months of the season, maximum 30 minutes a game.
They did sign Marvin Bagley, who I presume is going to be their backup center.
That's right. I forgot about that. And yeah,
he is, and I would say, like acceptable for the regular season.
Okay. And I'll just go woohoo. The Marvin Bagley signing. Woohoo. But I just feel like I'm kind of curious because like there isn't really a big move, like a big name to be moved right now. Like they never got in the Jaylen Brown sweepstakes. They never, it's not really out there. It's just funny. Like if they're just going to run it back, if they're healthy and they run it back, I think they're a top 3 team in the West.
But can you count on them being healthy at all? Like even Watson has his injury issues too.
That's the thing.
It's not like Murray's been the picture of health throughout his career.
That's the scary gamble you're taking. And it's funny because like I thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive in the regular season than they were more aggressive in the offseason than they actually turned out to be. And
Me
I think
too.
that's
I thought they were going to make a significant change pretty quickly, and that did not happen.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's
could also be concerning. Like there could still be a sign and trade for Peyton Watson. Granted, they probably would not be taking very much back in the way of like good rotation players. I wouldn't think. Maybe they would just create a trade exception. Who knows? But it's not like that path is closed to them. But that also would not be a significant change for the good. It would be a significant change for the bad.
Yes. And I think that's sort of the I'm worried about him a little bit. It's injury-wise, I'm worried about him. If they I wish they just had a little bit more depth. It's Jalen Pickett's, it's the Strothers, it's those guys
and they lost Hardaway, who was their best bench player last year. He would finish second in sixth man of the year voting.
Yeah, I totally forgot that. But I just think I just wish they kind of found a way, but it does hurt when your ownership group is kind of slowing you down quite a bit. And making it pretty difficult for you.
They have been paying the tax at least, but the tax bill is going to get absolutely enormous this year.
It's going to get massive for them in that sense. How do you compete if you're them? What's the
best way to compete, honestly, at this point in the offseason is just bringing everybody back. That's your best path to competing and just hoping that you stay healthy.
And then hope in the regular season you're able to find a trade that can – I just don't want them to take a step back with Jokic.
Right.
Especially like you said,
the final season of his deal, where let me ask you this. Can you afford to play out the final season of this deal and risk that he signs elsewhere next summer?
I would almost any other player say no. But with him, I think you say I'm going to say yes. Because here's the thing. It's not necessarily just the money aspect that I think he wants in this new deal. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. He can get a no-trade clause in the 5-year deal, but he can't get that in the extension.
Only if he actually opts out of the deal and doesn't pick up his player option and tack on 4 years. You have to actually opt out and hit unrestricted free agency to be able to get.
I think that's more what he wants than anything else. And I think a lot of stars around the league got very spooked by the Luka Doncic trade.
Probably.
And want to have now more no trade clause. And I'm a believer that only 4 or 5 guys should have the no trade clause.
I think there's only one in the league right now, if I'm remembering correctly, and I can't even remember who it is. But LeBron will be eligible for one if he signs with Cleveland or Miami.
Yeah. And I think LeBron. I think it's Jokic. I think it's Luka. I think Shea. When his time comes, Wemby. I thought those are no trade clause guys, but
those guys are not going to get them because they're going to sign extensions and not hit unrestricted free agency.
So it'll get interesting there. I just think Denver is going to be a really interesting team going into next season because I think they've sort of showed they're not going to do anything this offseason, anything major.
Yeah, the major would be some sort of move with Peyton Watson. And if he's not coming back, that's not good major. It's bad major.
Yeah, that's a step back for them.
And the Clippers can still do it in a sign and trade.
Yeah, I just don't think Denver is going to do it unless it's a crazy deal that they just feel fuck it, we can't match.
Denver has to cooperate, and the Clippers did sign Rui Hachimura, who was the same 3-4 type of player. Granted, Watson is more of a perimeter defender than Hachimura is, but they signed someone to play that position.
Yeah. We'll see what it looks like. We're going to take a quick break. And then we're going to talk summer league and get out of here because folks, there's not a lot of news going on. Not a lot. And we're back, folks. I just want to be clear about one thing. NBA Summer League, you get a lot of hot takes. It's Summer League stuff.
There are some hot takes flying around right now after these Utah Summer League games.
Yeah. And I just want to say something. The most important person in these Summer League teams is not the rookie. It's always the second and the random third year guys that are playing.
Yes.
Those are the guys you want to see a cut above everybody else. It's not the rookie who's like literally gone through the draft process, has gone through draft workouts, trying to figure out your head spinning as a rookie. Once you get drafted, you fly to your new place. And I think the whole sort of view is like a whirlwind, because then you're in like a mini training camp, Summer League training camp. Your roster is kind of weirdly constructed. Some teams are doing it and built around the rookie. Some are doing it to check out some of these other guys. Like, be careful with your hot takes, whether a guy's absolutely amazing and bonkers or whether a dude completely sucks. The rookies are the ones I'm not so like. I want to see, I want to watch, I want to see how they do. At least want to feel comfortable that they belong on the floor. But like, it's the second and third year guys that I really pay attention to.
I wrote a story about this at 538 a few years ago. I can't remember exactly how many years ago it was now, but I wrote a story about the too good for Summer League guys, which generally are second year guys, but sometimes are third year guys, where basically they play so well for 2 or 3 games that their teams shut them down because they're too good for Summer League. And when I looked at the history of those guys actually showed more improvement in their second and third season than all of the other guys at Summer League. Like, it's actually like, it's one of the things that actually is relevant when you're watching Summer League. If a guy looks too good to be there going into his second or third year, that does actually have a correlation with how much they're going to improve that coming season. So that actually, like, a lot of people will tell you, and I'm one of the people that will tell you, Summer League basketball is basically meaningless. It's not real basketball. The guard play is so bad. You can't figure out if any of the big men are good at all. Most of the guys there are not going to be on NBA rosters. Most of the guys that are going to be on NBA rosters are playing roles that they're not going to play once they're in the actual games. But if you get a guy that dominates in his second or third year, especially in his second year, but also sometimes in his third year, that's a sign of real improvement coming forward a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think, one of my favorite examples of it is actually Desmond Bane.
Right? Bane, summer, that's when I wrote the story, was like Desmond Bane, Tyrese Maxey, Emmanuel Quickly, like guys from that draft that showed real improvement going into their second season. Peyton Pritchard was another one, and those guys have all turned out to be good players.
I mean, like, the thing for me was like Memphis went in with the plan that Summer League of like, we need him to work the play creator, ball handler gene a little bit more. And I think that was like the thing. And you started to see that. You saw it there, and then you saw the carryover into the regular season. And I think that's the stuff too that like I watch for, even for a team with some of these rookies. Hey, we may not know what we have with this guy all year, or where there's some stuff we saw with him, we want to see if we can flesh it out a little bit more in Summer League. I think that's the kind of stuff. And when I talk rookies, I mean, like, look, the top rookies you want to see kill right away, right? Darian Peterson having a monster first game.
Obviously, you want to see them kill right away, but it's not necessarily a bad sign if they don't. Like, yeah, I remember Kevin Pelton did some work on this back in the day where like your 3-point percentage in Summer League was like negatively correlated to your 3-point percentage in the NBA.
Right. It's a weird environment, the whole thing. And even the games itself are officiated differently. And even they mess with the rules a little bit there, which we're going to talk about in a second real quickly. I think it's along those lines of like, I've just seen so many people have like crazy hot takes, good or bad. This guy's going to be amazing and this guy's going to suck. And it's just like, I just want everybody to chill a little bit with Summer League.
Yeah, I already saw a take the other day, like, oh, the Wizards messed up by not taking Peterson or Boozer because those guys have been so good in Salt Lake Summer League. DeBenta hasn't even played yet. Like,
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. We're already, well, it's the Wizards, so everybody wants to shit on the Wizards. It's like them and the Kings. They're like the East Coast Kings, which isn't necessarily fair because the Kings are their own specialty stuff. I think ultimately, though, with what we're kind of talking about, though, is it's just keep an eye, especially on the guys who are in their second and third season, and what are they working on? Is the thing that I think is the value I get more from the regular season. Excuse me, from the summer league. And then how will that translate more into the regular season is something I try to pay attention to a little bit more often. I want to mention
Cam Boozer, even more than Cam Boozer, I'm looking for can Cedric Coward dominate Summer League once they get to Vegas. And I will say the story I wrote was only about Vegas Summer League, not Salt Lake or the California Classic, or there used to be an Orlando Summer League. There's like all different Summer Leagues at this point, but the one I wrote was only about Vegas. So I'm not sure how things translate from the other Summer Leagues to the NBA.
It gets hard too, because like the other thing with Summer League is like these top rookies play 2 games. Maybe you get 3, you get 3, and then it's like they're done. And that's the hard part with that. How did you feel about the way they're experimenting with the free throws? 1 free throw and you get all the points.
I'm fine with it as an experiment. See how it goes. I don't love it. Unsurprisingly, I don't love it for the actual play during the regular season and the playoffs, and especially in the playoffs. Like, come on.
I think if they were to institute this rule in the playoffs, they can't. It has to go back to normal or whatever. I don't think it's going to be something.
At that point, why do it?
I don't think it's going to be something that's actually going to make it to the regular season. Like, how many times have we played with the goaltending on the rim?
See, I would be
for that. But like, we've like played with that concept for years now, and that hasn't come over. For me, to me, it feels like it's being put in to partly like speed up the game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I think the way to speed up the game, get rid of all these fucking challenges. Fuck VAR. Get rid of all of these challenges. Get rid of replay reviews. Get rid of them all. I'm done with them.
Mo is sensitive to the VAR these days because of what happened with Egypt yesterday.
Fucking bullshit. But I've been for a while saying we need to get rid of the challenges. I do think the instant replays are not really being helpful and slowing down the games. They just ruin the flow of games.
I'm fine with replay as long as it doesn't take too long. Like, you have to set a maximum number of replays or seconds that it can take to review a call. Like, if it takes more than 3 replays or more than 60 seconds, you're out of there. It's done. The call stands.
But like, how many replays have we seen where like we've gone frame by frame? We've done, and
I'm
still
saying,
feel like
you can't do that anymore.
But you still get it wrong.
Or 3 replays, and it's over.
I'm done with it all. I'm done with it. I'm done with the challenges. And by the way, and I'm going to say this in advance, any summer league coach who uses a challenge, fuck you. It's summer league.
God.
Hate that. I hate when they do that in summer league.
Summer league games going to overtime is the worst.
But at least that's like a quick score sort of deal. Like, this isn't. No, you get rid of it. No, get rid of the challenges altogether. I'm over challenges. I'm over instant replay reviews. And you know what? I'm over Argentina. Okay. Fucking cheating ass.
This podcast has officially gone off the rails.
Yeah, I think we should end it before I say something I actually regret. Do you have any other
thing? There's another thing that they're experimenting with too, right? Putting like a sensor in the ball for out of bounds plays.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I think that's fine.
That's fine. Again, if it helps with the accuracy of out of bounds calls, and I get it, how I just sound hypocritical because I'm like, get rid of the challenges in the reviews. and stuff, and some of them are out of bounds calls and things like that with the reviews. I just think like if it just that's just technology making things a little bit better, and that can be done in an instant. I'm good with that. The reviews take way too long, and even with
You gotta
like I
set a
just
timer.
don't.
Put a timer
I
on the
don't even
reviews.
I don't even think we need that anymore. I just don't think we need them anymore. I think we've lost the plot with all of this. Look, man, I love the referees with their little, what's my man's name? Bill Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like he was great. It was hilarious with his, and how he would do that stuff. But like we honestly don't need it, and the game needs to move quicker. It can't be this slow with what we have. And I get what you're saying, and that's a reasonable take. I just think at this point we just got to accept human error. That's part of sports because they're not going to be 100% accurate even with the replay reviews. So there's no real point in doing it.
I'm close to being there. I do like. I'm okay with it as long as it doesn't take too long. If it's going to take as long as it does take, then just get rid of it. To me,
just get rid of it and don't use it at summer league. Shouldn't be allowed. Should not be allowed.
I understand like having coaches coaches are. I wrote a story about this too back in the day for 538. Also, coaches are there to get better just as much as players are. So like having them practice real game experience stuff, which for now includes challenges, like I understand why you have to have them do it.
Yeah, I honestly just like I get it, but I just think it sucks. So Jared, anything else you gotta hit?
Nah, man, just happy to talk to you about basketball as always, and glad we got you to talk about LeBron even after promising not to on Monday.
God, I hope we don't have to talk about him next Monday. All right, folks.
Well, I hope we do talk about him next Monday because that would mean he has signed his contract.
We'll see about that. I think they're dragging this thing out forever.
I think they're taking until after the World Cup. After the World Cup.
I told you that last episode. All right, folks.
And I do think that you're right. They will announce it either on Rich Paul's podcast or the Mind the Game podcast.
Yeah, for sure. It won't be. It's content. It's content mining.
He did TV once. He did Sports Illustrated once. He did a press release once. This time it's going to be a podcast.
Yep. All right.
I can't remember who had that take, but I agree with it. That's not an original take. Somebody else said that on their podcast, and I agree with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of their podcasts, or they do a home and home, or they do a simulcast. I don't know how that would work, but they'll figure it out. Whatever it is, that's going to do it, folks. Thank you so much for listening to the Double Dribble podcast.
See y'all.